You are from France and you are in the Norman city of Falaise in 1386. A well-known murder trial of a person sick enough to kill a child is coming to an end. As you sit in court, the judge gives the sentence. The defendant is to hang. What's the matter? This person is a pig. People used to think that the death sentence was just a normal part of life, but this isn't an absurdist movie. It's a real trial that shows how complicated and sometimes even weird it has been to carry it out. People are morbidly interested in death when it's done in public. This is why the death penalty has a lot of rules and traditions that don't make sense to people in the West today. Still, think back to Chesterton's fence.
Cooked to death. People know St. Lawrence of Rome more for how he died than for what he did while he was alive. When a Roman prefect asked for the tithes of the Catholic Church to be given to the Roman government, Lawrence brought out his poor flock and said they were the tithes because the money had been given to them for food. The angry teacher told people to put metal plates over a bed of coals and heat them until they were red hot. After that, Lawrence was tied up and put face up on them without any clothes on. His skin sizzled, smoked, and turned black from the fire, but Lawrence didn't scream or beg the governor to forgive him. He finally called in a clear voice, "I'm done on that side. Turn me over and eat." He is now the patron saint of cooks. It was found out that Diocletian's slave Peter was a Christian and cooked the same way as Lawrence.
Animal trials. The year is 457. In the French town of Savigny, a sow and her 6 piglets attack people and kill a 5-year-old boy. The pig's owner walks away instead of taking responsibility, leaving the animals to be tried for murder. The sow has been found guilty and will be hanged to death. The piglets walk because no one could show they were involved. We can't understand it now, but things like this did happen, and not just in Savigny. As was already said, another killed for the same reason in the Norman city of Falaise in 1386. People who were put on trial as animals were charged with crimes like murder and tried like people, even though they couldn't defend themselves because, well, they were animals. So, when the 1386 sow was put to death, she was dressed as a person led by an armed guard and hung by a trained executioner. Surprisingly, animals were rarely put on trial for demonic behavior. This was probably because the Catholic Church in the Middle Ages did not usually prosecute witchcraft. Most of the time, people dealt with these issues on their own, like when black cats were killed during plagues. There were some exceptions, like when the Cock of Basel was put to death. Tip the executioner for a less painful death. In Europe, especially in France before the Revolution, the way people were put to death did on their class. Commoners were put to death by burning, hanging, or being broken on the wheel, which meant throwing the sentenced person through the spokes of a wheel and then stabbing them. It was possible for aristocrats to be punished in the same way, but money talked even when death was close by. Rich people could tip the executioner to get a less painful death by beheading. This was one of the secret rules of the game. During the French Revolution, the rebels were upset about this and decided to make things fair by creating the guillotine, a machine that would quickly kill all prisoners by cutting off.
Sewn into skins and eaten by dogs. This torture was planned by Nero, not just to hurt Christians, but also to amuse himself and his guests. It was said that Nero put crucified Christians on trees in his parks, covered them in wax, and set them on fire so that he could see his way home at night. He must not have liked the smell. Others he had skinned and sewn into hides. The skin of any big animal was prepared and sewn around the victim, leaving the head, hands, and feet out. Then wild dogs were let loose. The person was stuck and could only move around on all fours like a crab. People say that Nero laughed very hard as the dogs tore at the skin like they were a bone. Every day for a year, Julian of Antioch was tortured and put on show in every town in Cilicia, which is on the southern coast of what is now Turkey. He was then chained up and put into a skin full of asps and scorpions. The skin was then thrown into the Aegean Sea. He was said to have floated all the way to Alexandria, Egypt, across the Mediterranean.
Starved to death. He was emperor from 249 to 251, when he was killed in Bulgaria at the Battle of Abritus. During his short rule, he had a temple made in Ephesus and told all Christians that they had to sacrifice for the emperor's good, not to the emperor, because that would make Decius the god, who was still alive. Roman law said this was wrong, but most Christians thought that any sacrifice like this was against their faith, so they refused, even when they were told they would be beaten to death. Because of this, Pope Fabian was killed by beheading. 7 of Decius's best soldiers, Constantine, Dionysius, Malchus, Marcianus, Maximianus, Joannes, and Sarian, were found to have become Christians the following year. By giving them a long vacation while he was away, Decius tried to get them to return to the Roman faith. They ran away and hid in a cave. When Decius got back, he was told where they were and told them to lock the cave. All 7 of them died of thirst or hunger. Like the story of Rip Van Winkle, there is a story that these 7 men went to sleep and woke up 360 years later. They came out of the cave and amazed everyone in town. Boiled to death. First-degree burns happen almost right away from boiling water, and third-degree burns happen after 10 minutes. In the end, the skin will fall off deep into the muscle, and the water will generally turn red when it finally breaks through the blood vessels to show that the animal has died. According to tradition, John the Apostle, who wrote the Gospel of John, was cooked in an oil pot and came out of it alive. He was then sent to Patmos Island in the Aegean as a punishment. Some people think the woman was Saint Cecilia. In the year 222, she was boiled in a bathtub over a bed of coals for 15 days after she turned her husband and brother. They were all killed, along with the captain who led them to their deaths because he changed his mind after seeing how brave the victims were. People say that when Cecilia was pulled out of the tub living, she sang a song of thanksgiving to God. This is why she is known as the patron saint of music. Then her head was cut off. This is what Chaucer's Canterbury Tales' Second Nun's Tale was based on. The Inquisition's auto da fe. By the 1300s, everyone was ready for the Spanish Inquisition. Every country in Western Europe had an Inquisition set up by the Church, but the Spanish one was the worst and most feared. People were tried, usually found guilty, and often put to death, even if they were only guilty of reading the Bible in their own language. The event where people were killed and tortured was called a auto da fe, which means act of faith. When torturing people, the Inquisition was supposed to make sure they didn't spill any blood, but this rule was often broken. Most of the time, the target was stripped down to his underwear and put face up on a raised platform. Thin cords were put through holes in the body and wrapped around the limbs. The cords were then pulled so tight that they cut through the skin to the bones of the victim. The process could be done up to 4 times if no statement was made. If that didn't get the person to admit, the next step was to fold their arms behind their back and place their palms outward. Then, both arms were attached to a winch that pulled them closer and closer until the backs of their hands touched. With so much force, this ripped both shoulders out of their sockets that blood came out of the mouth. The joints were then set by a surgeon, and the person was sent to jail for 2 months to heal. 2 months later, the last form of torture was having a heavy chain wrapped around the body and hooked up to a winch on both ends. The chain was wrapped around the wrists and the arms were pinned straight out to the sides. Then, it was pulled tighter and tighter until the shoulders and wrists moved out of place. After the joints were put back in place, the pain started all over again right away. The victim was sent to be burned at the stake if he still didn't admit. If he did, he would go back to jail for another month or 2 and then be let out with a disability. Quick, unexpected, and even unappealing executions are common in Japan. People on death row in places like the US are often offered spiritual counseling, the chance to see family, a last meal, and advance notice of their execution before it happens. People who are against the death sentence say that the long wait, often while pleading for mercy, is abusive to the person's mind. It has been fixed in Japan, though, by making killing sudden and out of the blue. When Japanese people are put to death, they follow a different set of rules Americans are used to. They are put to death by hanging, while in the US they are usually put to death by gas or fatal injection. In Japan, someone with a death sentence can appeal. The execution can happen even while the case is being heard. People who are sentenced to death in Japan usually find out what will happen the morning of their execution. They don't find out about the executions until after the fact, from a press statement from the Ministry of Justice. People who are against the death penalty have said that Japan stonings in ancient Israel were community matters. The 3 sets of laws that are kept in the Pentateuch, or the first 5 books of the Bible, are thought to have been the source of ancient Israel's laws. If that were true, stoning would have been the most usual punishment for a wide range of crimes, such as adultery, worshipping false gods, blasphemy, and breaking the Sabbath. The whole community shall stone that person for blasphemy of God's name, according to Leviticus 24:16. Witnesses would throw the first stones. The law's thinking comes down to 2 things: being pure and making amends for one. When someone committed a major sin, it made their family and community dirty and guilty. The community washed away its sins and guilt by taking part in the killing of the criminal. Deuteronomy 22:21 says that if a non-virgin bride commits adultery, except for rape, on her wedding night, the men of the society should stone her at the front door of her father's house. Again, they thought that killing her there would thus purge the evil from their midst and return honor and purity to the family home. Since no legal record, having their guts eaten by pigs. In 363, when Julian the Apostate was in charge, Saint Marcus was Bishop of Arethusa, a town close to where Apamea is now in Syria. Julian told Marcus to fix up a rundown pagan temple, but Marcus burned it instead and then left the city. He quickly learned that if he didn't come back, his Christian friends would punish him for what he had done. So he did. The angry people in the town dragged him through the streets, stripped him naked, and stabbed him all over with their pencils and quills. They then covered him in honey and hung him from a tree in a town park, where wasps and bees would swarm into the basket and eat him. The crowd found some of his followers and dragged them down. They then tore their bellies open with their bare hands. They were stuffed with corn, and then pigs were put on top of them. The pigs ate the corn and their own innards.